For nearly 250 years, the United States has been a beacon of democracy, admired by nations across the globe. It's a land of opportunity, of freedom, where the voice of every citizen is supposed to count. From the founding principles of free elections to individual liberties, America's democracy has inspired millions. But today, something is changing. As the world watches, cracks are starting to appear in the very foundation of this democracy. In the past decade, we've seen an alarming rise in political division, voter distrust, and growing calls for authoritarian leadership. It begs the question, is the democracy we know today on the verge of collapse? And if so, what comes next? In this video, we'll explore the unsettling shifts that are reshaping America's political landscape. From deepening polarization to mounting attacks on the integrity of elections, these are the warning signs that suggest the U.S. might be veering away from the democratic ideals it was built on. Stick with us as we break down the most significant signs of change, the hidden causes behind them, and the possible future that America faces if this trend continues. To understand where America is headed, we must look at the warning signs that are increasingly hard to ignore. Let's dive into these alarming developments and examine how they could spell the end of the democracy we've known. First, let's talk about one of the most glaring signals, the polarization of American politics. It's no secret that in recent years, the ideological divide between Republicans and Democrats has widened to the point where cooperation seems impossible. A Pew Research study from 2023 shows that a staggering 75% of Americans believe the country is more politically divided than ever, and the evidence is everywhere. This deepening division has led to an environment where media ecosystems amplify partisan views, creating echo chambers where opposing voices are silenced, if not demonized. People are not just debating their political opponents, they're viewing them as enemies of the state. And Congress? Well, it's become more of a battleground than a place for legislative compromise. Urgent issues like healthcare, immigration, and climate change sit unresolved while both sides refuse to work together, claiming that collaboration would be a betrayal. When politics becomes a war of ideologies, the entire system teeters on the edge of collapse. And that brings us to our next critical point. The crisis of confidence in the electoral process is another growing issue. Elections are the bedrock of democracy, but when people lose trust in their fairness, the system begins to crumble. Recent voter suppression laws, such as strict ID requirements and reduced access to early voting, are stripping away the rights of those who need it most. Critics argue that these rules disproportionately target minority communities and low-income voters. Then there's gerrymandering, where politicians, not voters, choose the winners. In many cases, election results are practically guaranteed before a single vote is cast, as district lines are redrawn to favor one party over the other. And we can't forget January 6, 2021. That day, an unprecedented attack on the Capitol culminated in an attempt to reverse the results of a certified election. The very idea of accepting election outcomes, an essential pillar of democracy, has been under attack. And what does that mean for future elections? When the outcome of elections is no longer accepted by everyone, chaos follows. And that brings us to the most troubling development, the rise of authoritarian tendencies. Throughout history, the health of a democracy has depended on the strength of its independent institutions, media, civil society, the courts. But now we're seeing growing efforts to silence dissent and weaken these institutions. Politicians today are increasingly labeling the press as the enemy of the people, weakening one of the most vital checks on governmental power. The executive branch has expanded its power, with both Republican and Democratic presidents sidestepping Congress through executive orders. This consolidation of power undermines the very concept of checks and balances, a cornerstone of American democracy. And let's not forget the growing extremism and political violence. From left-wing anarchists to right-wing militias, political violence is becoming disturbingly normalized. When violence replaces dialogue, the democratic process is fundamentally damaged. If the United States is moving away from democracy, what could replace it? Experts are warning that we may be heading toward new political models, many of them far less democratic. One of the possibilities is a liberal democracy, A system where elections are still held, but civil liberties, freedom of the press, and judicial independence are steadily eroded. Countries like Hungary and Turkey have already adopted this model, and the question is, could the US follow in their footsteps? Another troubling possibility is a shift towards oligarchy, where a small group of powerful elites hold most of the political power. With the citizens united ruling allowing unlimited corporate spending on elections, billionaires and powerful corporations are quietly shaping policy behind closed doors. Finally, there's the rise of nationalist populism, a movement that champions strong borders, economic protectionism, and charismatic leaders who promise to represent the people. But in practice, this often means undermining democratic norms and institutions. Is it too late to restore democracy in America? The answer is still uncertain, but there's hope. Election reforms like independent redistricting, expanding voting rights, and securing elections are critical steps toward restoring faith in the democratic process. We can also fight corruption through stronger ethics regulations and curbing the influence of dark money in politics. And don't forget the importance of civic education. Educating future generations on democratic principles and critical thinking can help combat the disinformation that has taken root. The future of American democracy lies in the hands of its people, its leaders, its institutions, and its citizens. What happens next will define the future of the country. But remember, history has taught us one crucial lesson. Once democracy is lost, it's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to reclaim. Now is the time to act, to protect the freedoms that millions have fought for. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe the US is moving toward a new political era? What's the solution? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to keep the conversation going.